I want to talk about the reasons that we write, some of the reasons that I write, and also by extension, some of what I'm trying to accomplish with this channel. The reasons that you write a novel are nearly as important as the novel itself. Why you do what you do is incredibly important. And equally as important is not assuming that other people are doing what they do for the reasons you think they are doing these things for. I'm hoping as we explore this topic, I can address some of the comments and expectations that people have about me and why I do certain things that people expect or assume that I would do. That was a really confusing paragraph, but hopefully it'll make more sense as we go through this. So let's talk about some of the reasons to write a novel, both good and bad, some of the benefits of the process, and what you can get out of it. Speaking of good and bad reasons to do things, I can't think of a bad reason to subscribe to my channel, because you'll get tons of other novel writing advice videos just like this one. Alright, the first reason to write novels, it gives you a sense of purpose and an object of focus. I'm realizing more and more that what separates contented people from non-contented people is having a sense of purpose, a feeling that you put actions and effort in and something comes out the other end. There's some studies that show that construction workers tend to be the workers who report the highest overall levels of job satisfaction on a consistent basis. And this sort of makes sense. Even if you have a brutally difficult job, being able to look out after a day's work and say, I framed all these walls, or I dug all these holes, or I mortared all those bricks together, gives you a feeling that you've accomplished something, and that purpose contributes to overall happiness. Contrast that with a soul-crushing, gray, carpeted corporate job where you spend all day writing emails and attending meetings that could have been emails. Much less obvious purpose, much less obvious sense of progress, and, I would argue, a much less contented population. Writing, as frustrating as it is still creating something. You have visible progress. You can watch a project grow and change. Stories are satisfying in part because of movement, because of progress. And it follows that creating those stories would create a similar feeling for similar reasons. If one thing has changed in my mindset over the last year or so, it's that dividing your focus between multiple things just doesn't work. We're living in a moment where we seem to value people who do a bunch of things. Everyone's got side hustles and all these different projects going on, all these different things that they're working on, a whole bunch of irons in the fire. We seem to celebrate those kinds of things. Doing one thing really well is often where you find success, rather than doing 10 things in a mediocre way. You have time to do anything, but you don't have time to do everything. You will barely have enough time in your life to get good at one thing, let alone all of these other things that you're pursuing in a half-assed way. And this kind of gets to my problem with some of the comments, specifically the people who assume that I either have a book out or that I'm published, or the people who believe that for me to continue what I'm doing here, I need to be published. I like helping people write, whether through these videos, critique, the courses, coaching, whatever. I also like writing. I can either focus on building a community around writing, which this channel and the other stuff I do is, or I can focus on producing publishable grade work. Doing both and achieving good quality is probably not feasible, and if I divide my attention in such a way, then both things will suffer. I could put out a mediocre self-published book and make these videos worse because I'm putting some of my energy into publishing and less of it into this content, but nobody really benefits from that. My attention is already divided because I work full-time outside of this channel, so further dividing it will bring no benefit to anybody. One of the reasons that I haven't published a book is that I have made a conscious decision not to put my focus on that, to put my focus on growing this channel and all the things around this channel. And I do that because I enjoy doing this as much as I enjoy writing. When I get comments from you guys about how a video has helped you, it really does boost my spirits. I often have videos that perform really poorly algorithm wise, but I feel really good about them because those kinds of videos usually get a lot of positive comments, and I consider some of these videos to be my most successful videos because they seem to help people so much, even though the algorithm didn't really like them. I care about the community that I've created here around this channel, and I want to put as much of my energy into it as possible. Which segues really nicely into the next good reason to write a novel. It makes you part of a community. Writers are, in general, not the most gregarious people in the world. A lot of writers are drawn to writing specifically because it doesn't usually involve other people. But we are, for better or worse, still a community. I think having a community that you belong to, a group of people who are all aligned around the same goal, is incredibly important. That sounds sort of obvious, but I don't think we recognize the importance of it and the detrimental effects that not having a community has. I can tell you that I've been part of communities and am part of communities whose positive impact on me had nothing to do with what the community was about or the work that happened in that community. And that's part of what I'm hoping to do here. Bring people together who are interested in writing, bring people in who've maybe never thought about actually writing or didn't understand the benefits of it, and unite them around these common goals of getting better and enjoying the craft. Writing a novel in this sense is sort of a beneficial vehicle because it allows you to access a community and the positive benefits that come along with being part of a community. I don't consider myself to be like superior to the folks who watch this channel. I may have more writing experience than some of you guys, but that's just because I've been writing longer. There's a bunch of you that probably have way more writing experience than I do. I like to consider myself a peer to my viewers. We are all just writers exploring the craft together. My hope here is to demystify the craft, to make it more accessible, and bring some of the progress elements of other fields into writing. Which is something that ties into the last good reason to write a novel, and that's because writing is an infinite pursuit. You can continue writing forever. You never get to a point where you're done. Sure, you can finish an individual project, but you as a writer are always improving, always growing. Your skills are limited only by the time and effort you put in. This is the difference between enjoying the process and being focused on outcomes. When you pursue outcomes only, it's easy to become dissatisfied, thinking that once I finish this book, I'll be happy. Once I get published, I'll be happy. Once I become a bestseller, I'll be happy. The problem with this is that outcomes are often out of our control, and usually achieving an outcome doesn't make us happy long term. On the other hand, having a focus on infinite improvement, on getting better, on your own growth as a writer will keep you satisfied because it forces you to find enjoyment in the process, not in what you get out of the process. Your process, how you improve, what you do, how you approach your projects is almost entirely within your control. What you can control, you can shape, and what can be shaped can be enjoyed. Most of the people who are successful are process focused and not outcome focused, even if on the outside they appear to be outcome focused. There's a famous mountain climber guy named Edmund Hillary who, when he would reach the summit of a mountain, he would look out over the horizon to another mountain and start planning his route up that mountain. He was already thinking about the next thing, the next part of the process. This is a guy who loved climbing, not just standing on the summit. This is a guy who enjoyed the process, not just the outcomes of the process. If you're always thinking about improving, if you're always thinking about what am I going to do in the next scene or in the next draft, if the process itself becomes the point, you will get a tremendous amount out of writing. You will never be able to exhaust the process. So long as you are able to write, you will be able to extract joy from it. This is what I try really hard to do. I try to focus on my own improvement. So for me, Publishing a novel, getting a book out there is not that important because my main goal is making myself better as a writer. If you are outcome focused, you will always be waiting around. Satisfaction will come tomorrow, not today. You need to think about your novels as vehicles for your own improvement and treat yourself as the product of your work. This doesn't diminish the importance of the novels or mean that you shouldn't focus on them, but by focusing on you, you will be focusing on what will actually produce the kind of novels that you want to produce. Finishing a novel won't make you happy, but a life spent working and improving and enjoying the craft will make you happy. Just like this video also hopefully made you happy. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the advice in it useful. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.